Good morning, everybody. It is Tuesday morning, July the 28th, 2020, 11:03 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. My name is Dave Mcrae. I am coming to you live from the VoiceMann Studios in Toronto, Canada. Hope you're having a great summer, albeit an unusual one. This is episode 84 of Mcrae Live. Did I say 83? Did I even say what episode it is yet? God, I've been doing very long live streams over the last couple of days. My mind is a little fried. Episode 84, rest in peace, John Saxon has passed away. Regis Philbin passed away as well. Quite a few people actually over the last couple of days. Not quite a few. 3 or 4 actually passed away. Very sad indeed. But we're talking about John Saxon because this is somewhat of a horror channel, I guess, if you want to call it that. So yeah, we're going to focus, of course, on John Saxon, who passed away on Saturday, the day that Bruce and I were doing our It's Me Billy-a-thon. And again, I want to thank everybody who contributed to that, who donated via Super Chats. It's amazing. We raised about nearly $3,000 Canadian. Of course, that's before YouTube takes their commission. So after YouTube takes their commission, that's standard. I have no control over that. It doesn't matter how big of a channel you are, YouTube will take 30% of the Super Chats. That's just the reality of it. But we walked away with about $2,000 Canadian. So once I receive that from Google, which won't be for another couple of weeks, I will take that and then put it towards the campaign so everybody can see the numbers go up. So right now on the campaign, the Indiegogo campaign for It's Me Billy, we are sitting at exactly, this is the total for the campaign at the moment, is $36,000 Canadian, 385 backers. We have 37 days left. That'll change to 36 days in a few hours. And 60% of our production budget raised with about 4.5 weeks left to go. But really, with the $2,000 we raised on Saturday, you can pretend that actually says about 38,000. So that would be about 63% of our production budget. So that's good. That's good. Now, again, like I've said on a number of occasions, things have slowed down like we knew they would. That's natural. These types of campaigns do have ebbs and flows. There is still a lot of time left, 4.5 weeks left, but we're getting close to crunch time. So I just want to, remind everybody out there that, the campaign is still on. There are many perks still available. And of course you can make donations as well, which, by the way, I have begun to see more and more people do, just making donations, and which is amazing. If you're on your phone, if you scroll to the end of the perks, you'll see a little icon that says make a donation to Shaking Hands. You can do that. Donations are not associated with any perks, but certainly that's something you can do. And I notice that more and more people are doing that. And they're just, we'll get maybe $100 donation. We'll get a $5 donation. I saw one come in the other day that I think was like a $2 donation. Like, it doesn't matter. We don't care how big or small, just every little bit helps. So, if that interests you, I should say, you can do that as well. So, but again, thank you so much to everybody that watched the live feed. I think the stream has about 4,500 views already, and it's a 5-hour stream. Now, I don't pretend to assume that everybody is watching the entire stream, but it's great nonetheless that everybody tuned in. Again, thank you to the ladies of It's Me Billy, Shelby Handley, Victoria Miro, and Malika Henny for your time and your time and your passion and your enthusiasm. It was so great because they're busy bees. I mean, they got a lot of things going on. So it was great that they took some time to chat with us. And because we wanted to do that, we wanted to surprise you guys. We wanted to get them on the show and sort of in a way formally or informally introduce you guys to the three leads. So again, ladies, thank you so much. Really, really appreciate that. If you're watching, Bruce and I will be in touch very soon with the updated draft, which is great. It's so great to be able to collaborate and get the feedback and talk to everybody and just sort of shape and polish. And, I've talked to a lot of independent filmmakers who agree. If there's a positive that comes out of the COVID-19 thing, and there's very rarely a positive, but if there is one, because things have been delayed, it does allow you more time to work on the script. It allows you more time to, work on pre-production, development, hiring the right people, fine-tuning those nuances. I know Cecil Laird has found that as well. He's been tweaking and polishing the script right up until when we were originally going to shoot. So I know that the time, although it's a nuisance, the time has afforded him that luxury as well. So that's a positive, to kind of fine tune things and, take a little bit more time than maybe you would have. So that's always a positive thing. But yeah, great stuff. So the link to the Indiegogo campaign is in the description. Again, just want to keep it out there in your conscious mind. 4.5 weeks left to go. The campaign will probably end about September 2nd or 3rd, somewhere around there. So let's see if we can get as close to 60,000 as we possibly can. Bruce and I are under no delusions. We know that obviously being a Black Christmas fan film, it's not one of the hot IPs in the world of horror. We knew that it was going to be an uphill battle, and it is. We were very strong out of the gate, but we've settled into where I thought we were get as close to it as we possibly can. We would really appreciate that. Oh, wait a minute. Am I live? Uh-oh, what's going on here? Oh, no. Wait, no, now I'm live. Now I'm live. Oh, no, I'm not live at all. What's going on? Uh-oh. Nope. Oh, no. Wait. I think we're back. I think we are back. Yes. I think, anyway. Are we live? I think we're back. Yes. Can you guys hear me? We're good now? We're back? Okay, yeah, I'm not sure what happened. Listen, I know it seems like this happens to me every stream. It's just as annoying to me as it is to you, but it's YouTube. It ain't my setup, it's YouTube. So I apologize for that. I'm not sure what happened there. What was the last thing you guys remember me saying? What was the last thing you guys remember me saying? Ba, 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 ba. What's the last thing you guys remember me saying? Because I want to make sure I don't go too far back to repeat myself, but I don't want to skip ahead either. Fucking YouTube. Indiegogo. Yeah, but what was I specifically saying? No. Just give me a ballpark. Give me a ballpark. Give me a ballpark. Somebody just give me a ballpark. Before the stream had a hissy fit. Uphill battle. Okay, gotcha. Thank you, MSM Michael 99. Okay, yeah. Okay, so let me just go back there. Yeah, so it's an uphill battle, obviously. We knew that, but we're happy where we are. But I just wanted to kind of throw it out there and keep people, keep it in your conscious mind in terms of the campaign. And, the link to the Indiegogo campaign is in the description. So feel free to check that out. And we want to get as close to 60,000 as we possibly can. As close to 60,000 as we possibly can. So hopefully we will Some people are saying September 2nd, September 2nd. That's, yeah. So, okay. God, I don't know how long I was off. Anyway, yeah. So, yeah, the campaign ends September 2nd. Bruce and I want to get to as close to 60,000 as we possibly can. There's still 4.5 weeks left to go in the campaign. And just want to say thank you to everybody that obviously watched the stream on Saturday and contributed. You guys are amazing. And my apologies for whatever hiccup YouTube likes to throw my way. It's really annoying. But I noticed that it's funny, isn't it? The Two Dudes and Some Bullshit show, because we used to have some problems with that too. Seems to be, now that I've said that, watch it, but it seems to be running flawless. Like for those of you that tune into the Two Dude show, never any issues, right? Never any issues. But for whatever reason, my Mcrae lives, I don't know, YouTube likes to knock me off for like a second or two every now and then. I don't know why. I have no idea why, but fuck you, YouTube. Okay, so yeah, link to Indiegogo in the description. We're at 36,000 now. You guys are amazing. Let's see if we can get that going up a bit further. Pass it on, share it, share it to your friends and family, and let's get as close as we possibly can. Jonathan Nichols says, still planning on getting a hoodie, just haven't done it yet. Oh, you got 4.5 weeks left to go, man. You still got some time. All right, so John Saxon, the late John Saxon, passed away at the age of 83. He passed away from pneumonia. And of course, this comes to us from Variety. This is the other day. Passed away on the day that Bruce and I were doing the stream. Which is ironic in some ways, I guess, because John Saxon, of course, was in Black Christmas, the original Black Christmas from 1974. And a lot of horror fans know him best. And, I get it, from A Nightmare on Elm Street, A Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Wes Craven's New Nightmare from 1994, obviously, where he was playing a fictional version of himself. Sometimes people... And then they're kind of like, oh yeah, he was in Black Christmas too, but he was in a ton of other shit. He was in a ton of other shit. He had been around doing shit since the 50s. So, and of course he settled in, he was never really a leading man. He settled more into a character actor, but he was a very good one. And obviously very well known in the horror circles because one of his character acting roles was in one of the most famous iconic horror movies in Hollywood history, which of course, A Nightmare on Elm Street. So, I mean, it's understandable why people would instantly associate him with A Nightmare on Elm Street, as opposed to anything else at the end of the day. This comes from Variety. John Saxon, the stoic yet charismatic character actor. That's a very good way of describing John Saxon, by the way. Stoic. He was very stoic. And he exuded, like, every role he played, and, I haven't seen every movie he's been in, obviously. But certainly when you look at Black Christmas or Elm Street, the first Elm Street, not necessarily the third one, because the third one, he's sort of, he's a bit of aloof. He's kind of drunk and, well, but certainly in Black Christmas and the first Elm Street and some of the other roles that I've seen him in too, he does have a stoic, sort of a quiet, I don't want to say quiet, maybe that's not the right word, there's a cool confidence to John Saxon. There's just he's just a cool guy. Like he plays those roles well. There's a cool confidence to John Saxon, which I really like. So stoic, yeah, like I get what they're saying. You know what I mean? John Saxon, the stoic yet charismatic actor, that's true. Charismatic character actor, which stoic yet charismatic seems like an oxymoron. But anyway, who starred in many iconic horror, Western, and genre films, died in Murfreesboro. Am I saying that right for all you people in Tennessee? I think that's where it is. I think TENN is short for Tennessee. Murfreesboro, Tennessee, after a battle with pneumonia, according to multiple reports. He was 83. Well, he lived a good life. I think we would all agree we would hope to at least get to 83, right? That would be nice. The daughter of his Enter the Dragon, sometimes people forget that too. He was in Enter the Dragon with Bruce Lee. John Saxon was a martial artist. We often forget that too. I think he was a black belt, if I'm not mistaken. We often forget that. Oh yeah, He could fucking tear down with Freddy Krueger if he wanted to. He should have. That would have. Starts doing all sorts of shit, drop kicking him, like spin kicks and punches and shit. I'm pretty sure he was anyway. I think John Saxon, I don't know if he was a black belt, but I don't know that. But I'm pretty sure he had some sort of martial arts background. The chat room will be able to let me know if he definitely had a black belt, which I think he did, and exactly what in. Yeah, people forget that. He was in Enter the Dragon. The daughter of his Enter the Dragon co-star, Bruce Lee, paid tribute on the late martial arts actor's Twitter page. There we have it there. Sad day. Our condolences to the Saxon family. Thank you for your talent, John. Rest in peace. It's a great photo. That's a great photo. So cool. So cool indeed. Saxon's most iconic roles were playing Donald Thompson in the original 1984 A Nightmare on Elm Street, as well as two of the sequels, and Roper in 1973's martial arts epic Enter the Dragon. He starred in scores of influential horror movies, including Dario Argento's 1982 film Tenebrae, yes, I think that's how you say that. 1974's Black Christmas, and 1996 From Dusk Till Dawn. I forgot he was in Dusk Till Dawn, or From Dusk Till Dawn. I forgot about that. That's right, he was. Saxon also made his mark in westerns, such as John Huston's 1960 film The Unforgiven, 1969's Death of a Gunfighter, and 1972's Joe Kidd. During a career that stretched over 60 years, Saxon's roles were varied and shot all over the world. He started gaining attention as a teen heartthrob in the 1956 film Rock, Pretty Baby. He was a heartthrob, and you can see why. I mean, you look at his picture on my thumbnail. He was a handsome young man, and certainly he became a bit of a teen idol heartthrob back in the 50s. 1956, folks. That's how long he's been doing it. Which led to roles opposite stars such as Debbie Reynolds and Sandra Dee. As Saxon aged, he transitioned into a character actor, working across Europe in the 60s, including roles in Mario Bava's seminal Giallo. I think that's how you say that. It's Italian. Giallo, The Girl Who Knew Too Much, and other films shot in Italy, the Philippines, and Britain. The 1966 Western, The Appaloosa, earned him a Best Supporting Actor Golden Globe nomination in a role opposite Marlon Brando. I have not seen that. There's a couple there I haven't seen. I've seen a few of them. I did see the Rock Pretty Baby a long time ago. I saw it and I was like, that kind of looks like John Saxon. And I was like, oh my God, it's John Saxon. It's kind of cool. After the early success of Enter the Dragon and Black Christmas made him ubiquitous to genre fans, Saxon's work took off more than ever. Guest appearances on 70s television staples such as The $6 Million Man, it's like nothing today, right? The Bionic Woman, Starsky and Hutch, and The Rockford Files brought him small screen recognition. Among his 200-plus credits, he's best known for playing the Patriarch police officer in the Nightmare series, appearing in the first entry as well as the 1987 sequel, A Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors, and the meta 1994 chapter, Wes Craven's New Nightmare, where he revived his role as well as played a fictionalized version of himself. Saxon's final role was in the 2017 film The Extra. The Hollywood Reporter first reported the news. Rest in peace, John Saxon. But that first line here at the very top, John Saxon, the stoic yet charismatic character actor who starred in there was a cool confidence about him. You could look, obviously he's not, but you could make the argument, in some sort of fan fiction, how fans do this kind of shit, right? That, well, actually Lieutenant Fuller in Black Christmas, I think it's Fuller, right? Yeah. That's actually Donald Thompson, from A Nightmare, because he's kind of like the same guy in some ways. In some ways, kind of like the same guy, But yeah, my first introduction to John Saxon, obviously, because I'm 41 and not, 71. So I didn't grow up with him, per se. So my first introduction to him, like many of you, was in A Nightmare on Elm Street from 1984. And then, of course, Elm Street 3 and Wes Craven's New Nightmare. But shortly after that, I discovered him in in Enter the Dragon and Black Christmas. And I mean, he never, he was that teen heartthrob sort of because of that one movie in 56, I think it was. But yeah, as he got older, certainly by the early 70s, and he was doing a lot of television, he was that character actor. So he never really transcended beyond that into a leading man. But every role that he did, at least every role that I saw him do, he was, you know, in terms of being that character actor, that supporting, that complementary role to the bigger picture, he was great in. You know, and he was great as Nancy Thompson's dad, you know, because again, there was a coolness about that character, you know, and let me go back to my other camera here. There was a coolness about that character, you know, and you liked him, you know, even when he wasn't believing Nancy, you know, even when he wasn't sort of like, I don't know if you never really believed her, but even when he was, you know, the way he was for most of the movie, like you liked him. You just can't help but like John Saxon. And he brings that natural, cool charisma to his roles. Do you know what I mean? He's got a nice jawline and he's got nice features, you know, he's just got that cool kind of look, you know, and he was great. He was great. But I saw somebody the other day, I think they were joking, at least I hope they were. It said like John Saxon, God, gone too soon, man. Fuck, man. I'm like, gone too soon. Listen, nobody wants to die. We're all going to, but nobody wants to. And certainly, you know, we don't know when, and we all hope we can at least, I think all of us, I would like to think all of us hope that we can make it to, you know, at least 80. You know, I think that would be nice to make it into our 80s, you know, to see another, well, for me, it'd be another, you know, 39 years or whatever. But at the end of the day, you know, he was 83. He was 83. He lived a good life. I actually, to be honest with you, I actually thought he was older. I thought he was older. I thought he was closer to 90. Of course, that's Regis Philbin, who also died. Yeah, he definitely was a cool cat and a horror icon for sure. Not in the same ways that, you know, Robert Englund is a horror icon, because obviously he's the main, antagonist. He's the star. He's the reason why you go see those movies. He's the reason why you pop in those movies, you know, is because of Freddy Krueger, and rightly so. I mean, that's just how it is on the, you know, on the food chain of acting, right? But certainly, like John Saxon's role in A Nightmare on Elm Street, the first Elm Street, was that, and I understand that you can look at Elm Street 3 as sort of the unofficial a direct sequel to the original film. I don't know. I just think I prefer his character in 1 over 3 because I like the calm, cool, collected kind of John Saxon, you know, that kind of character. And in part 3, he was still that guy, but, you know, he had alcohol issues and his life was sort of getting away from him. And I mean, listen, that's, it works too, because that's the progression of his arc, right? That's the progression of his character. But I don't know. I just kind of, I don't know. I like calm, cool, collected Donald Thompson, you know, where he's just like, I don't know. I don't know. There's something about that, his role in the first Elm Street I absolutely love. So, and of course, Enter the Dragon, he was amazing in, and a couple other movies there I've seen too, where he was amazing, just doing his job as a character actor. So, yeah, hey, if you're watching after the fact, comment below and let me know your thoughts. What is your favorite John Saxon role? And it could be A Nightmare on Elm Street, because maybe that's the only movie you know him from. I have no doubt that there will be people that will say A Nightmare on Elm Street because it's genuinely your favorite role. And there will be people that will say A Nightmare on Elm Street because it's literally the only movie you've ever seen him in. So, you know, but go to IMDb, check out his filmography, and look at all the shit that he's done. He's been in a lot of movies. Like I said, never really a leading man, but certainly a lot of film to choose from there. And definitely, if you have not seen Enter the Dragon with Bruce Lee from 73? I think that was the movie he did just before Black Christmas, actually. I think, because John Saxon got a lot of recognition from Enter the Dragon. So when they brought him in for Black Christmas, that was like a big deal. He was like kind of a name at that point, you know? And he wasn't the, well, according to Bob Clark, they wanted him, but then I think there was a scheduling conflict or something, and they ended up getting another actor, an older actor, who unfortunately, who was very prominent in his own right, but was in the early stages of dementia, essentially. And he flew up to Toronto, and again, I'm paraphrasing all this, but they instantly sort of knew that there was something wrong, because they all went out to dinner or something, and he couldn't remember certain things, like things that they just said, or he didn't know where he was or something like that. It was very serious. So one of the producers on Black Christmas had to kind of pull him aside and kind of tell him, we can't use you. And he said it was so awful because I'm like talking to a legend, you know. I forget the guy's name. What the hell is the guy's name? Chat room will let me know if they know. And, you know, a legend in his own right. I mean, I'm not saying he was like, you know, Clark Gable or something like that, but certainly he was a known name at that time, and he was getting older, and you know, it was unfortunate, right? Like, imagine if you're there, right, and you're dealing with somebody like, you know, I don't know. I'm not saying he's like a Christopher Lee, but let's say and you got to go in and break the news to Christopher Lee because he's suffering from dementia, that he's fired, essentially. Like, you know, so then they got John Saxon. I think they initially wanted John. But anyway, long story short, they didn't end up using that guy. John Saxon flew to Toronto, and like he literally went from the airport to the set. And in Black Christmas, the scene with him on the megaphone out in the park is the first scene that they actually shot. It's the first scene that he appears in the movie, and it's also his first scene that he shot. So, you know, like that, like just that's crazy, you know. But yeah, he was great. He was great in Black Christmas too. I mean, I think his character is more. His character in A Nightmare on Elm Street is okay. I don't want to say, you know, it's richer. I mean, it's not like Donald Thompson is incredibly well, like it far more developed than Fuller was in Black Christmas, but I think because he is the father of the main protagonist in A Nightmare on Elm Street, there's more at stake. So there's more depth to the character. There's more, you know, the character has more agency. You know, there's more for him. There's more emotion there. We care more about, funny enough, we actually care more about Donald Thompson as a character than we do his character in Black Christmas. Not that we don't care about him or we hate him or anything, but he's just a cop in Black Christmas, right? In Elm Street, he's the dad as well, you know, so there's a little more there, you know, but yeah, cool dude, man. John Saxon, rest in peace. Yeah. Unbelievable. Okay, let's go to the chat room, see what you guys are doing. Let's see what you guys are. And remember, link to the Indiegogo campaign for It's Me, Billy is in the description. Anything you guys can donate or help with, we really appreciate. You guys are amazing, but you already know that. Tabitha Short. Hello, Tabitha. Good morning. Says, nice shirt, Dave. Thank you. Yes, thank you very much. It's new. Used to seeing you in a hoodie or a t-shirt. Are you going out later? Well, I am getting together with my girlfriend later, but I get together with her in my hoodies and t-shirts all the time too. So, but this is, yeah, it's a new shirt. I picked it up. I liked it, you know, so I thought I would wear it today just for something different. And she likes it too. So I thought I would, of course, if she's watching, she already knows I'm going to be wearing this. So, but yes, thank you, Tabitha, for noticing. Although I guess when you wear hoodies every single show, the second you don't wear a hoodie, it's pretty noticeable. So yeah. Let me see here. Darren Sand says Edmund O'Brien was the original. Yes, the Edmund O'Brien. That's it. In my head, I had Edward somebody. Edward. I'm like, no, it's not Edward. Yes. Edmund O'Brien was the original cop before Saxon. That's right. Yeah. And he wasn't like a, you know, huge star or something like that, but he was certainly known, you know, and to bring him in, they wanted to bring in a name, and it was one of the reasons why they also brought in Olivia Hussey as well, because she was not really fresh off, but, you know, about 4 or 5 years before, she did Romeo and Juliet, which was a huge success. And so she was real. I mean, that's really her best known role. That and Black Christmas, I think, is probably her best known role. Maybe Mother Teresa too, years later. But certainly Juliet from Romeo and Juliet, 1968, I believe. And then, of course, Black Christmas, 1974. So that helped to bring a little bit of credibility to the movie. And that was one of the reasons why they were trying to go after Edmund O'Brien, was because they, was that same sort of thing. But they landed on John Saxon, which was not, I mean, that's pretty good too. He was much younger than Edmund O'Brien, obviously, but certainly that was good. That was good. Yeah, for sure. Let me go back here and just get, I think, a couple of super chats. Just 2 super chats so far. Intel Wild, thank you. But Dave, when do you think we will have another Billy-a-thon? I don't know. I'm not sure yet. I don't know when, and I don't know if we will. It all depends. If we do, it'll, I mean, obviously it won't be this month. It'll be sometime in August if we do, but I have to talk to Bruce. We are planning on getting together tomorrow because we want to go over the script and in person and talk about some things. There's a lot we have to talk about. So yeah, I can't say that we definitely will, but it's entirely possible. Big G says, newsflash, Dave Mcrae in a shirt. Yeah, I was in a shirt actually, one of my shows last week too. I was in a shirt, in a collared shirt too. Yeah, I know. It's crazy, isn't it? It's crazy. Let me see. Let me scroll back here. What are you guys saying? Diehard Drummer 84 says he was very charismatic in Black Christmas, super calm and cool, but also nervous when he realizes calls are coming from in the house. I wouldn't necessarily say he was charismatic. I would say that he exuded his characters always exude a certain level of confidence, and he has maybe a shy charisma. There's a charm. He has a charm. I wouldn't say that John Saxon's characters are charismatic per se, but certainly they can be. There's a certain charm that he has. And again, I mean, you certainly are not wrong to be using the word charismatic, but there are degrees of charisma. You know what I mean? There are a lot of people mistaken, and I'm not saying you are, I'm just saying people. For example, there are people that often will often equate charisma with good looks. And like you can be the ugliest person in the world, but be one of the most charismatic people in the world. Now, you can have good looks and charisma, but they're not mutually exclusive to each other. Like our Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, I think most people would, he's a very handsome, good-looking guy. But in my opinion, he lacks charisma. But a lot of people have been like, oh, he's very charismatic. He's not charismatic at all. He's awkward. He fumbles when he's not reading off a teleprompter. He says a lot when we all do that when we're thinking. I do it too here on the show because I'm not, reading anything. But he's very awkward and I wouldn't. If he's reading off a teleprompter, he's fine, as most people would be. I wouldn't necessarily say that Justin Trudeau is charismatic in terms of his personality, right? He's handsome, sure. Bill Clinton, right? Not the most handsome guy in the world, but he's rich with charisma. Bill Clinton is loaded with charisma. Do you know what I mean? So there's a lot. So I think there's I wouldn't necessarily say that. Now, John Saxon, the man himself, if he's just out shooting the shit talking, he's very charismatic. I wouldn't necessarily say his characters are full of charisma per se, but certainly a subtle confidence that can be attractive. And I say subtle because it's not like he's, it's not overbearing, right? I think stoic was the appropriate word that Variety used. There's a stoic charisma, but it's stoic. So it's there, but it's controlled. It's kind of like, there's a mysteriousness, if I can use that word, about John Saxon's characters sometimes. Certainly in A Nightmare on Elm Street and Black Christmas, which is what we're talking about. But cool stuff. Let's see here. Duke Fleet says, Dave, how much do you realistically expect to raise from the campaign? I don't know. Like I said, I mean, when we first began, we didn't really have we want to raise 60,000 because that's what we've broken down. Whether we do or not, I have no idea. But I'll just say that, I mean, yeah, I would like to, if we can raise another between now and the end of the campaign, if we can raise another $12,000 to $15,000. We have 4.5 weeks to do it. If we can do that, we're in good shape. We're in good shape. If the campaign stops now, like if it was to stop now, we got some reworking we have to do. It looks like a lot of money, but when you are making a movie at this level, it costs, it's not. I mean, it is, but it's not, we still need probably another, I mean, obviously we would like to get to 60, but if we can get to 50, 1,000 Canadian, which would be about, I don't know what that is US now. But if we can get there, so we're at 36,000 Canadian right now, another, $14,000, $15,000, we're in good shape. We're in good shape. And then there might be some adjustments we may have to make, but nothing that would be considered maybe catastrophic. Right now we're not there yet. And it's only because of the level of film that we're trying to bring. So when you make a movie where you are renting all of the proper gear and renting the cinematic cameras and hiring the crew and the locations, it costs money. It costs thousands of dollars just to rent a location. So I would say that realistically, what do we expect? Well, I always said that I'd be happy if we can get to 75, 80% of our production budget. I mean, on a Black Christmas fan film that nobody knew they wanted, nobody even thought about, because we're so saturated with Halloween and Friday the 13th and out Black Christmas, to becoming that close is impressive. Even where we are right now is impressive. At 60% of our budget after 3.5 weeks, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's amazing. I mean, you guys are amazing. Sincerely, I mean that. So I said to Bruce the other day, things have slowed down. So unless somebody drops a bomb and picks up the executive producer package, or there's still a filmmaking 101 package there too, which is got a lot there, which is really, really interesting. Unless a couple of people pick up that and an EP package, we are in a fight now. It's we're doing the best we can to get as close as we possibly can. So I don't know. I mean, I think, yeah, I mean, I'd be happy if we get close to 50, that would be good. That'd be good. So like another $14,000, would be good. Would be good. We'd be in good shape. Be in good shape. Wayne Gotke says, Dave, do you take Bitcoin? Joking. No. Ed Red 77 says, Dave, I saw on Wham's channel that John Saxon wrote a treatment for Nightmare on Elm Street 3. Have you read any of it? I haven't, but I have heard something about that. I even think Robert Englund wrote something too, didn't he? Didn't Robert Englund write something to do with that? I have heard about that. Alexander Dirksen says, you can donate all your super chats from now on to the campaign. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do it all to the campaign at this moment. But certainly, like Tony and I are planning on something, as we said yesterday on Two Dudes and Some Bullshit. Towards the end of August, we're gonna have a double feature of Last House on the Left, the original, and the original Black Christmas. That'll be a double feature. That'll be probably a 3.5, 4 hour stream. And that'll be in the last week sort of the campaign, and all raised through that will also go towards the campaign as well. So, yeah. Johnny T says, it's too bad YouTube took $800 from the total amount on Saturday. People should have gone to Indiegogo instead. What percentage does Indie take? Well, here's the thing. Yes, YouTube takes 30%. I have no control over that. It doesn't matter if you're me or if you're, somebody that's got 500,000 subscribers and you're doing a lot, they will take 30%. That's just what YouTube does. And, if you're not using YouTube as a living, it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. To some people, it wouldn't necessarily bother them because, well, I'm not using it as, for a living, and they provide the platform, they provide the service, they provide all this stuff, and they need to make money too. And I know there's, but I'm just saying, right? So if you're relying on YouTube as your sole income, well, then that can be a problem. That can be a big problem, right? So I think it would all depend on sort of what you're using YouTube for. But yeah, 30%. And I agree in principle with what you've said. The problem with that, Johnny T, is that when you were doing a live stream, to tell people to go over and donate, it's psychological, right? When you're doing a live stream, it's not that people wouldn't have, and it's not that we wouldn't have got any, but statistically, when you look at other streams that have done this, and I've done my research on this before doing this kind of stuff, it's psychological. It's like marketing, right? So you have a live feed, and then the person tells you to go and donate. Here's another link. You have to click on another link. You have to go to the other site. You have to click on this. You got to donate. You got to click over here. It's too much, right? When you're in the middle of a live feed where you're generating income. For people to donate in the immediacy of the stream, a super chat, it's easier, it's quicker, and we were more likely, ironically, to make more even with the commission if people if we kept it simple, right? Keep it really simple. Hey, all your super chats go towards the campaign. Okay, click super chat, send, super chat, send. But if we're going, hey, go over to the campaign, donate here, you got to go over, you got to scroll, you got to click, you got to, punch in your information, the likelihood of making nearly $3,000 of people doing that rather than just the immediacy of the super chats. And they're also getting something for it as well. You send in a super chat, you get to hear Bruce and I read it out loud on the show, answer your question, talk about it, laugh, and you get that immediate gratification of something you've put forward. So a lot of it's psychological. And I've noticed in other streams and I've talked to other people that generally, when you tell people, hey, we're raising money, now go over to this website, some people will do it, but some people won't. Most people won't. Because it's a psychological thing. There's a disconnect there, and so that's why we said, hey, all the super chats, will go. And we knew that 30%, and you guys know that 30% goes, right? But the good news is that the more you raise, of course, the more YouTube gets, but also the more also comes to us as well, right? So, hey, look, $2,000 is still $2,000. I mean, to sit here for 5 hours and make $2,000 for the campaign, that's $500 an hour. Not quite 400 something an hour, but still, right? I mean, that's 400, 400 something an hour. Yeah, somewhere around there. So it's pretty cool. But I agree with you in principle with what you're saying. You're not wrong. It's like, well, hang on a sec here. Why don't we just get everybody to go over here? And some people would, but some people would be like, nah. It's a psychological thing. As soon as we say, hey, we're raising money. Hi, everybody. By the way, now click the link there. People go, no, I'm out. Like, I just don't want to do that. You mean I got to work? I got to actually work? I got to work my thumbs? I got to click here and then click that and then scroll here and find the donation and click that and then put in my donation and then click that and put in my information and then and then yes, no, yeah. No, it wouldn't be likely to happen. So that's why. But that doesn't mean that we did encourage people, hey, if you want to do that, it's there to do. Like right now, if you want to do it. Let's see here. The conspiracy trifecta says, open a PayPal. I don't want 30% of my money to go to corporations like YouTube. Well, then don't send in a super chat. I don't think you ever have. So, you're good. And PayPal, depending on how much you get through PayPal too, they take a percentage as well, depending on how it's set up. So, yeah, I'm not sure. Jonathan Nichols says 30% is rich, should be more like 10%. 30% is high. It is high. But again, it's only high it's high no matter what, right? But if it's not your job, like if it's not your main source of income and you're doing it, like if you have another job that you make good money at or, whatever the case is, then you're not really thinking much about it. But for those people who are trying to make a living on YouTube, that's a lot. Yeah, that is a lot. I mean, it's a lot no matter what, but it is a lot, especially when you're relying on YouTube. You know what I mean? If you're not relying on it, then it's like, well, sucks, but whatever, but I agree. Let me see here. Alexander Dirksen says, Dave, today is my birthday. What are your favorite birthday memories and gifts you became? You became? That I became? You mean, what are some of my favorite birthday memories and gifts that I got, maybe? I would say, one of my favorite gifts, actually, that I've ever gotten outside of my studio here. You see it at the beginning of every one of my Mcrae live shows. My intro pans down and you see like a live on air, like this thing right here. See that live on air thing right there? That actually is a real live on air sign that sits outside my door there, that my girlfriend gave me for Christmas a couple years ago. And it works, fully functional. It's on right now. Turn it on, and whenever I do my shows or my live feeds, it's always on. So that was a great gift. That was a really cool gift. I was like, this is, because I always wanted something like that. And then she got me that. So that was really cool. Really enjoyed that. But yeah, I think most of my favorite gifts would be like, back when you're a kid, and you're raising all that, or you're not raising, you're getting excited about all the toys and things like that, right? Whether it's like He-Man or Dukes of Hazzard or Knight Rider or Ninja Turtles, it was a lot of fun. David Lee Barron sends in a super chat. Thank you, David. Says, just finished watching your 2017 videos, dude. 2017. I've been with you since the beginning. Amazing. And I can't believe the tremendous growth. You're awesome, man. By the way, have you seen Jason Goes to Hell? I have. It's a dog shit. Absolute dog shit for sure. 100% dog shit. Big G says, Dave, when will we see Dylan's new Nightmare? Well, Big G, I don't know. I am in relative constant communication with Cecil. We chat every now and then. He gives me updates. He's given me some updates on some pretty cool things that I can't talk about. But they're in the same predicament. Well, I don't know. The short answer is this. The borders between our two countries are still closed. You can fly to the United States, which I think is so strange. Like the land border is closed. So I can't cross in my car into the US, and you can't cross in your car into Canada, but I can fly to the US. I don't understand that logic. I really don't. There are limited flights, but you can still do it. I don't understand that. It's recommended. There are travel warnings. It's recommended that we do not travel. I know Cecil, obviously they wanted to go to camera in May. That didn't happen. They were thinking about August. That's not happening. They're thinking about September. I highly doubt that's happening. This may get pushed into next year because of everything that's going on in the United States. Now, Canada is there have been some spikes over the last couple of weeks, but in comparison to what's going on in the US, we are doing a lot better. There's a much higher probability, if we can raise the production budget and get things moving, there's a higher probability that we will go to camera for It's Me, Billy, maybe before I get to go to camera for Dylan's New Nightmare. Dylan's New Nightmare may, depending on what goes on, may have to be pushed to next year. I don't know. I don't want to speak for Cecil. I have no idea. But I do know that Arizona, which is where we're going to be shooting the film, is one of the hotbeds of COVID-19 right now. Florida, California, Arizona, and for me to travel as well, I always have travel insurance, health insurance when I travel, of course. But COVID-19 is a new thing. And a lot of travel insurance right now doesn't cover COVID-19. So if I was to travel to the United States, get sick with COVID-19, I ain't covered. And it ain't like it is up here. You got to have insurance. We're all covered up here, is basically what I'm saying, right? So that's something to think about as well. So I don't know. Cecil and I are talking, but it affects everybody too, right? There's procedures and protocols that have to be put in place. That's what Bruce and I are dealing with right now. I would assume that Dylan's New Nightmare would also be a closed set. So again, that simply means that cast and crew only, no friends, no family, no outside, you know. Everybody would have to get tested. Everybody have to wear masks. It's a whole ordeal, you know. So I don't know. I should have Cecil, you know, Cecil, if you're watching, he probably isn't. But I'll try to get Cecil on the show again soon, and we'll talk Elm Street, we'll talk Dylan's New Nightmare, and just kind of get an update, you know, because I love Cecil, he's great, and I'd love to get him on again. But yeah, so I mean I said the short answer. I meant like that's sort of the. With me, there's rarely a short answer, but I just meant that's sort of like, that's all I know. That's the simplest kind of, I'm not a producer on the movie like I am on It's Me, Billy. So I don't really know the interlockings of the day to day of what's going on. I just hear it like I do, like an actor. So, and he shares certain things with me, obviously. But I don't know. I have no idea, you know, I mean, I don't know. It's crazy stuff, man. Crazy stuff. Let me see. Let me scroll back here. Oh, some super chats came in. You guys are... TMB says, Dave, I recently came up on an extended version of Glenn's death in Nightmare. I am glad they didn't show his body come through the bed. Not believable. I think I know what you're talking about. Where did you see that? Is that on YouTube? I'm gonna have to look that up because I do think I know what you're talking about. Intel Wild sends in a super chat. Thanks, buddy. Says, Dave, there may be some new people in the chat room today that aren't familiar with It's Me, Billy. Can you take a moment to explain what it is? Sure. Yeah. Well, It's Me, Billy is a high production value Black Christmas fan film that is a unofficial sequel set about 45 to 50 years after the events of the original film. It is a short film being shot up here in Canada because the original Black Christmas is a Canadian movie shot here in Toronto. So who better to do an unofficial sequel than two Canadian independent filmmakers from Toronto? And yeah, we've been in various stages of development and pre-production for the last year. Our Indiegogo campaign is live, and we've gotten great buzz about it. There's a teaser trailer online right now on YouTube, an Indiegogo teaser, specifically designed and created for the teaser. Just YouTube, It's Me, Billy teaser, and it should be the first thing that pops up. I think it's got over 6,000 views now. And we're really excited about it. That's what it is. It is it's a fan film, but it's a fan film that you know, we're taking very seriously. Working in the entertainment and film industries like we do here in Toronto, we have certain access to people and gear and connections and things like that we've never really fully utilized to our full capabilities. And we wanted to do that for this and take our skills and you know, to the next level and or at least do the best we can. I mean, I am stepping for the first time in my life, because I've spent most of my career as a voice actor, right? You know, and I've done little shorts here or there, and I've helped out on set as PAs, and I've been to sets, and I've helped people with their projects and things like that. But I've never done an independent film at this level that's one of my own. And so I'm stepping into this world for the first time. So I'm really excited about it. And again, when I say at this level, I'm talking about the production value, the people involved. You know, we're utilizing all of the professional connections and gear and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, so that's what it is. And that's the level that we want to bring to the project and that we're trying to do. So we've currently raised $36,000 Canadian. The link is in the description. We're trying to get to 60,000. Anything you can do to help out. So that's really what it is. It is an unofficial sequel to the original Black Christmas set about 45 to 50 years later. That is It's Me, Billy. And of course, somebody asked me the other day, why did you choose the title It's Me, Billy? And I said, well, because if you watch the original Black Christmas, it'll be very apparent why I chose that. So I just thought it was a cool little, and it's different. It's different, you know, rather than calling it Black Christmas, you know, I wanted to call it something else, but having it being related to the property and in a significant way. Like calling a Black Christmas fan film It's Me, Billy would almost be like calling a Halloween fan film The Shape. You know what I mean? Like it's significant, you know, or you could have, I mean, you could have called it Billy. Sure. Yeah. You could have just called it Billy, but I think It's Me, Billy rings more true to Black Christmas, you know, because he says that quite a bit. Don't tell him what we did, Agnes. It's me, Billy. He says it's me. He specifically says the 3 words, it's me, Billy, at least 2 or 3 times in that movie. Not just Billy, right? So there you go. Let me see. Jonathan Nichols says, do you think Saxon would have been a good sheriff in a Halloween movie? Yeah, I do, actually. Yes, I do. Yes, I diddly do. I do. Great question. Jim Joe says, the whole what you don't see is more terrifying than what you do. I could not agree more, Jim Joe. You know me. I'm like the gatekeeper of theater of the mind. Somebody should make me a t-shirt that says the gatekeeper of theater of the mind. Or even, I'd take a t-shirt that just said theater of the mind. That'd be amazing. Josh McGrath says, Dave, would you argue that Billy is more believable and horrifying than Freddy and Jason or Michael, seeing as he's not supernatural, but he's just completely insane? I think from a certain point of view, you can make that argument, but there are definitely people that's really a subject. Like he's more relatable, right? Like Freddy and Jason and Michael, and I say Michael beyond part 2, part 2, but beyond part 1. Freddy and Jason and Michael are scary. I mean, listen, nobody wants to come face to face with those 3 dudes in a back alley, right? But I think what's scary about movies like Black Christmas or When a Stranger Calls or, something that deals with even Prisoners, right? Something that deals with what almost would be perceived as true crime, something that feels very grounded, something that feels like it could actually happen and has actually happened. I mean, that kind of shit has happened in the world. So, it's frightening. And maybe in today's modern day world where we're all desensitized to, violence and gore and blood, and the world of horror has just, it's grown and we're all just beyond that now, right? But when you watch older movies like your Psycho or your Black Christmas, again, I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but it's just so true. I can't stress how important this is. Watching it within its context can help you appreciate the movie even more. To us, watching Black Christmas and hearing Billy say the word, cunt and pretty pink pussy and, all that's like saying all that, right, is, for us, it's so, those words are so in there now. Like everybody knows those words and people aren't afraid. Like now, again, I've said them within context here. Okay. Within context. It's not like I go around in my day-to-day life saying those words. I'm just saying that those words are words that if you're shocked by me saying those words just here on this show, imagine how shocked audiences were hearing those words in a movie in 1974. Like in The Exorcist, your mother sucks cocks in hell. I mean, like, holy shit, right? You hear that today. You would hear that today in some comedy. Yeah, well, dude, your mother sucks cocks in hell, so I'm just saying. I could totally imagine hearing that in a comedy today. 100%. And everybody would be like, hearing that in 1973 was frightening, terrifying. And when you watch the original Black Christmas, Billy says some fucked up shit. 1974. You don't say that kind of shit. It was like, my God, So, yeah, you're right. I mean, it's just a different kind of approach to horror. One is supernatural, one is mystical and larger than life. Billy's not larger than life. Michael, Freddy, and Jason are, of course, they're not so modern anymore, but they were at one time the modern version of your Frankenstein, your Wolfman, your Dracula, right? Billy is more of like a Jack the Ripper. You know what I mean? Or something that is grounded more in reality. And yes, in a lot of cases, that is more terrifying. It's far more frightening because it's a scenario that can totally happen to you. You can imagine, maybe not so much anymore because of call waiting, call display, and nobody talks on the phone anymore anyway. But certainly for a long time after Black Christmas, that it was totally, and people got calls like that. They did. People got calls like that. and frightening stuff. Yeah, for sure. So I think from a certain point of view, yes, I do. But it really largely depends on your taste as well. And saying that from a certain point of view, Billy is more, I'm not talking about the movie, I'm talking about the idea of Billy, and what was going on in that movie. I'm not saying that you're necessarily more scared of, you feel more scared watching Black Christmas than Halloween or something. Well, no, maybe not, because it's a little more dated, right? But the idea of Billy, you can make an argument, is much more terrifying than something like a Michael Myers from like the later films. Now, Michael in the original Halloween is actually more like Billy. He's got a supernatural vibe to him, which Billy doesn't quite have. But certainly you can make an argument that Michael, is, and I know some people are going to say, it is Billy because of John Carpenter and Bob Clark and the whole thing. And I get that. But, yeah, I always find those movies much more frightening, much more terrifying, because and it's not that I don't like the other stuff too, I do, but if you really want to scare somebody, then you paint a narrative that makes them think, holy fuck, this could happen. Holy shit. So yeah, that's how I feel about that. Let me see. Did I miss any super chats? I don't think I did until Wild TMB. David Lee Barron. Okay, good stuff. Good stuff. Ladies and germs, you guys are amazing. Frank Riker says, didn't Billy only kill women in Black Christmas? Yes. Yes, that's true. Yeah, because he obviously has some sort of there's obviously some sort of sexual, desires that he has. Yeah, he's killing women. Yeah, he killed Barb, obviously. He killed Phil. He killed the girl in the park. Now, it's never outright stated that he killed the girl in the park, but it's come on. It's heavily alluded to that obviously that was Billy. Actually, no, that's not true. He killed the police officer. He killed that. That's right. That's right. I just saw that there. Yeah, that's right. He did kill the police officer. Well, it's alluded to that he killed the police officer. He killed the police officer. That's right. The male cop in the car, he did kill, supposedly, which I always thought was kind of strange, actually. I will admit, if there's one thing in Black Christmas that I always thought that maybe was unnecessary, was the death of the cop, because then that would have to mean that, did Billy leave the house at some point? Because you always get the impression that when he makes his way into the house, he's there. Like, he never leaves the house. He's in the attic the whole time, right? For the cop to suddenly wind up dead was interesting. It doesn't ruin it. It just, was interesting. But yeah, so he apparently he killed the male cop, but the girl in the park, Barb and Phil, Mrs. Mack, and of course, Claire. And he didn't kill Peter. Of course, that was Jess that killed Peter in self-defense, because Jess thought that Peter was Billy. But yes, one male. There's what, I think there's like 7 deaths, including Peter. There's the male cop, Mac, Claire, the girl in the park, and Peter. Yeah, so there's 6 deaths at the hand. So Billy kills more people in Black Christmas than Michael does in the first Halloween. Or no, wait, Judith. Yeah, because Michael kills 5 people in the original Halloween. Yeah. That's funny. That doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean, was something I just thought about. But yeah, yep. Johnny T says, didn't he kill a cop and Peter? Yeah, he killed the cop. He didn't kill Peter. Jess killed Peter. In self-defense, obviously. Aaron Click says, Dave, I get the impression that Billy can move about pretty much silently, so I could see him slipping past people to kill the cop outside. It's true. Oh, yeah, it's true. Yeah, he's got a little bit of Michael Myers action going on there. You know what I mean? So, oh, yeah, it's totally, it's not difficult to believe. It's not difficult to buy that he could do that it's possible. For sure. Kelly Barkley says, maybe there were 2 killers, Billy and someone else. You never know. No, I don't think so, though. Gary Rangel says, Dave, why was Peter having a breakdown in his mansion? In his mansion? did that give you thoughts he was Billy? Oh, you mean, it's not his match. You mean at the sorority house. You mean the first time I ever watched it? The first time I ever watched Black Christmas, yes, I thought that he could be Billy. But they do misdirect you in the movie, but at the same time, they don't keep it a secret for very long. They keep it a secret from the characters in the movie, but they don't keep it a secret from the audience, right? Because, why, like, Jess is convinced that it can't be Peter, but then Billy calls and starts saying, I want a wart removed. It's so eerie and creepy. I fucking love it. And of course, Peter was talking about that, like, Billy basically recited a very specific piece of information from a conversation that just Jess and Peter were having. Now, Jess doesn't know that Billy's in the house, right? So obviously he overheard this conversation. She's probably opened the attic door and it's just eavesdropping and go, whatever, right? It's not a big deal. So, but she doesn't know that. So it is Billy on the phone. It's not Peter. It is Billy. But she thinks, well, how? It's got to be Peter because no one else knew we had that conversation. So she's convinced from that moment forward that it's Peter, and when it's really not, you know what I mean? It was a very good reveal, a very good way. It's chilling. Even now when I think about it, it was a really cool way to, for the audience to go, oh no, oh my God, and you totally buy it because Jess is pregnant. She wants an abortion. Peter doesn't want Peter doesn't want her to have one. He comes across as angry and jealous and, a bit neurotic maybe. And it's not out of the realm of possibility to assume that Peter, it was almost a crime of passion. Well, it was a crime of passion in some ways. It's just that it was a crime of passion in self-defense and that Jess actually had to defend herself and kill Peter. And she thought she was doing the right thing. Let me see here. Mark Williams says, the original trailer for Black Christmas is great. The voiceover, if this movie doesn't make your skin crawl, it's on too tight. It's something like that. Yeah, I love the voiceover too. It's great. Robert Thidoff says, Dave, I still can't figure out, but what are the actual days covered in Black Christmas? I think it's actually before Christmas, but am I mistaken? That's a great question. I watched Black Christmas the other night, actually. And I think what I'm guessing is that we're either introduced the very first scene when Jess comes to the door and goes into the sorority house, that night is either the day before Christmas Eve or Christmas Eve. And like the next day's Christmas Day, or it's like you said, it's like a couple of days before. So maybe it's like, December 23rd, and maybe it happens, and maybe the whole thing happens. Yeah, like I agree with you. It's never quite solidified, I don't think. Not that I can see anyway, or not that I can remember. But my guess is either like you said, it's either like a day or two before Christmas. Or it's Christmas Eve. Like we're introduced the first night, it's Christmas Eve. The second day is Christmas. Because I think the next day is when everything goes down, right? Like you go through the day at the university, which is the University of Toronto, by the way. The scene where Claire's dad gets the snowball in the face, that's actually on the University of Toronto campus. Even though it's supposed to be an American town, because you can see all the American flags all over the place at the police station. And they did that because, and rightly so, you had to do that because it was a Canadian movie. And there's this psychological disconnect. There's this disconnect that they believe that if American audiences, it's true, and it still exists today, they feel that if American audiences got privy to that it's a Canadian movie and it takes place in Canada, that nobody will be interested to watch it. And that still exists today. Still exists. It still exists today. And it's frustrating. It's frustrating. Not as much as it did 45 years ago, but to have it appeal to a U.S. distributor, they planted little American flags all over the place to make you think that it was an American town. Bedford is somewhere probably in one of the northern states, New York, Minnesota, Michigan, somewhere that gets snow, obviously, right? And it still exists a little bit today. It does. Not as much as, like as I said, as it did a long time ago. But yeah, that's why. Bob Clark said that. He said, oh yeah, we couldn't say that it was in Toronto or in some small town in Canada. We had to pretend that it was a U.S. city, which is why, again, when you watch the film, take notice. You'll see a little American flag on John Saxon's desk. You'll see a little American flag in the background. You see a big American flag in the corner, just kind of hanging there. And that was their way of saying, this is America. And it's not. It was all shot here. But what the fuck was the question again? Jesus, I lost my train of thought going off on there. What was the question? Let me go back here. Why did I forget? Oh, Black Christmas. Oh, right. We're talking about the days. Yeah, I'm not really sure. My guess is I always get the sense it's either a few days before Christmas or it's Christmas Eve when the movie begins. But then that would be kind of strange because then why would people be leaving the next day? Although people do travel back on Christmas Day. Maybe it's the day before Christmas Eve. So it's like the first day is like the movie opens and it's December 23rd. You know what I mean? Nighttime. And the next day is Christmas Eve. That's my feel anyway. Yeah. Let's see here. Smith's Grove says, Dave, have you watched any of the Maniac Cop movies? I recently watched them and loved them. No, I haven't. I know the movies you're talking about, though, but I got to admit, I haven't. Aaron Anderson says, Billy is actually Ronald DeFeo. He might be. For those of you that don't know what he's talking about there, of course, the Amityville horror murders. But again, this is a perfect example of what I was talking about earlier. So listen. The Amityville Horror, the original film, 79, I think, that whole story and, whatever you believe, whether you believe it's all true, half true, or none of it's true, certainly it makes for a great little horror film. It's a famous house. It will go down in history as one of the most famous haunted houses ever. I get it, right? But if you think about it, you can remove the supernatural element from that story and tell the real story of what happened in terms of the murders. That's fucking frightening. That's frightening. You know what I mean? I know there's a movie that tries to do that, but they play up the supernatural angle. I know DeFeo said, I heard voices, the voices told me to do it. But you can make a movie and still have that in there, but you're not playing up the supernatural angle. You're just telling the story as is. And maybe you're planting the seed of doubt in the audience's mind, like, is it, isn't it? I don't know, that's kind of weird. But you tell the real story, you know what I mean? And it's from it'd be creepy as fuck. Creepy. CM says, Dave, would you consider it, and if possible, to put more available AP perks on the IMDb campaign since they sold out so quickly? Well, possibly, but, limited perks are limited for a reason. And if we start to put more up on the campaign, depending on how many that is, you begin to remove the specialness of them, and sometimes people will buy limited perks because they're under the impression that they're limited, and if they find out that they're not, or more start going up, it removes the specialness of it. So, I mean, maybe, but likely not, but we'll see. If that's the case, we would reach out to all the APs and ask them their thoughts on it, because we certainly, there are some APs that, oh, hey, this is limited. There's only 7 there. I better get one now. And then if you realize, oh my God, there's 10 more, what the hell, right? And we don't want to do that. Let me see. We'll go another, what are we on here? Another 15 minutes left in the show. We'll take this to 90 minutes today, and then I got a skedaddle. Got things to do. Billy Joyner sends in a super chat, says, good afternoon, Dave. Hope you are having a great day. So far, so good. Are there movies that gave you legit nightmares when you were young? Mine was Jaws. Nope. There was never a movie that ever gave me legit nightmares, but I've said this before on the show and I'll say it again. The one character that gave me legit nightmares, it was a reoccurring dream. I've never had the dream and I've never dreamt of this character, at least not that I can remember, ever since I left my childhood home. I mean, I had a couple of childhood homes, but the first childhood home I lived in, I left it in 1988. And when I left that home and moved to another place, I never had this dream ever again. I never dreamt of this character ever again. I loved this character. So it was always disappointing to me, even as a kid, that I was having nightmares about him, because when I was awake, like, I actually liked the character. I thought he was cool and mean looking and awesome. And I'm talking about, you're probably never going to guess it unless you remember what I said, because it's not from a movie. The mascot from the band Iron Maiden, Eddie. Eddie. I loved Eddie. And I loved that character. And I used to have a reoccurring dream where he'd scare the shit out of me when I was a kid, when I was a little boy, growing up through the 80s. And when we left my childhood home, the first home I lived in 1988, and moved to another town, I never had that dream again. Never again. I even have an old t-shirt somewhere. I should bust it out sometime. It's an awesome t-shirt. I still have it. It's like almost 30 years old. I bought it when I was about 13, and we were vacationing in Florida. We were down there going to, Disney World, all that kind of shit. And we went to a flea market or something, as people often do when you're in Florida, those roadside flea markets. And I remember I saw this t-shirt of Eddie, and it's this great t-shirt, and it's got him on, the whole thing is just like Eddie. And it's his face is like big right here, and on the back of the shirt, it's got the axe with blood coming from it. Loved it. I don't know if it'll fit. I was a pretty big kid I haven't really grown a lot in terms of my size since I was a big kid for my age, and then I sort of grew into my size as I got older. So the shirt might even still fit. I have no idea. Probably not. But because I was only 13, but I'd have to take a look, and I still have that shirt. But yeah, Eddie for me was I never dreamt of Michael. To this day, I've never dreamt of Michael Myers, never dreamt of Freddy Krueger, never dreamt of Jason, Leatherface, Pinhead, Chucky, Ghostface. Never. I mean, I was a little old to be dreaming of Ghostface when Scream came out. I was 17, but I never had those dreams. Never dreamt of them. Never, ever, 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 ever. The only pop culture monster that ever scared me in my dreams was Eddie. And that was like 32 years ago. I haven't dreamt of Eddie in 32 years. So, Eddie, come visit me, but don't scare me. Yeah, Billy Joy says, wow, Eddie, I'm a huge Iron Maiden fan. Yeah, I'm not really an Iron Maiden fan. I'm not a fan, but my older brothers were, I think especially my brother Bob, he was a big Iron Maiden fan. So we had all the records, right? This goes back to record day, kids. We had all the vinyl. And I loved looking at the artwork, and I never really listened to the music. I just loved looking at the artwork and anything I could get my hands on that was Eddie, I really thought was cool. So, yeah, funny stuff indeed. Let's see here. Who we got? Somebody that I haven't, it's a super chat. I want to make sure. I don't think I'm missing any super chats. Billy Joyner was the last one. That's good. Gary Rangel says, Dave, did you see the trailer for Terrifier 2? I did. Or have you seen the first movie, super low budget? I have not seen the first movie, but I know what you're talking about. The trailer for Terrifier 2 looks like fun. I mean, Terrifier definitely, I will say this, these kinds of movies are not generally my type of horror. But I will say that it knows exactly what it is, and it knows exactly what it isn't. So that is a good thing. And so for people that want more of what they got in Terrifier, but amped up, well, that's what you're going to get. You're going to get buckets of blood and crazy kills and Art the Clown smiling all weird, and that's what you're going to get. So props off to the producers and the directors and the folks over at Fuzz and the Lens Productions as well. I keep saying I gotta get him on here. Michael Levy, who I met at the Halloween convention, who's one of the producers on Terrifier 2. I got to get him on here because we we haven't talked in a while, but I got to get him on here because it'd be fun now that Terrifier 2 is sort of coming out soon. We should get him on. I should get him on as a guest because that'd be cool. Real Reveal says, what are your thoughts on the original Nightmare on Elm Street, young Johnny Depp and Lynn Shay? Sorry, Lynn Shay. My thoughts on them? Young Johnny Depp and Lynn Shay? You mean my thoughts on just Johnny Depp and Lynn Shay in A Nightmare on Elm Street? I thought they were fine. They were great. I thought Lynn was fine. She didn't really have much to do. I thought Johnny was fine. It was his first movie, you know, and obviously he's playing the quintessential, you know, oh, I'm really good looking, but I'm vulnerable. I mean, that's essential because the dick jock is Rod. Is Rod? Yeah, I think that's it. Rod? Yeah, I think it's Rod. He's the dick jock. Up yours with a twirling lawnmower. You know, like, I mean, he's the dick, right? So Johnny Depp could easily have played the dick because he could totally pass as a jock. But he was playing the handsome new, oh, he's so good looking. Oh, he's so sweet and vulnerable. I love Glenn so much. Barf. Crystal Lake Counselor says, 977 says, Dave, is it your understanding that Billy was an unhinged, untreated individual that snapped or an escapee from an institution like Michael? Will this play any role into your film? I cannot answer that information. Is it my understanding he was unhinged? I'll just say this because this is just what you see in the first movie. I mean, Billy is clearly unhinged. He's clearly suffering from some level of mental illness, schizophrenia, some sort of psychological psychosis that he has. And when you pay attention to the clues in the original Black Christmas, the phone calls and certain things that are being said, it does paint a little bit of a picture. It gives you some insight into maybe what is going on there, whether there's some sort of sexual abuse or incest or I mean, who knows? He's a very mentally ill individual, and that's not something I made up. It's not a spoiler. That's in the original film. So yes, it's very clear that he's one disturbed, unhinged individual. Simon says, I've dreamt about the T-Rex from Jurassic Park loads of times. Loads of times. Interesting. Roaming around outside my house. It was so scary but fun. Interesting. I've never dreamt of anything about that. No. Never had any dreams of the dinosaurs or anything like that. Never have. Never have. Oliver Mercer says, hey, Dave, when did Billy use Dipole? Unless wait a minute. I think I'm having a fart here. Yeah, what do you mean, Oliver? At me, and let me know what you mean. Jonathan Nichols says, any news on who's the next guest will be? Jimmy Champagne will be good. No, not yet. I have a few. There's a list of people. I have a list. It's not here. I think it's in the other room. A list of people that I want to get on the show. And Jimmy Champagne is one. Lee McCoy is another. I also want to get Sean from Fandom Empire on here too. And I want some other people as well. I've reached out to certain, I have reached out to certain people, not those three, but certain other people, certain names that I want to get on here, but just haven't heard back. I did reach out to Sean Clark. Sean, of course, great dude. And I haven't talked to Sean since the 40th anniversary convention, but I like Sean a lot. And I reached out to him because I know that he runs an agency called Convention All-Stars. He reps certain actors and actresses, of course, in terms of their convention appearances. And very much like what Sandy Johnson's agent does, but with another agency. So I did reach out to Sean because I wanted to get Sean on here. And I know that Sean reps Nick Castle for appearances. So I wanted to get Sean and Nick Castle on Mcrae Live. And I reached out to Sean and I asked him, I said to him, I want to get you on the show, get, you and Nick on, kind of like how I had Sandy and her agent on. And I said it was no rush. You don't have to get back to me. It's not immediate. It's not like it's urgent. But think about it. Well, that was almost a month or so ago and I haven't heard anything back. So now I suspect that maybe the reason why Sean may have not reached out to me or may not be interested, if he isn't interested, is because Sean, to his credit, just started his own show on his own channel with Christopher Nelson called The Thing with Two Heads. Go over to Sean's channel and check it out if you haven't. They've just done 2 episodes. The 3rd episode, I believe, is going to be Nick Castle. So it's entirely possible that he thought, well, I don't want to go on Dave's show with Nick because I want to have Nick come on my show. And that would serve him and his views and his channel. Obviously it's self-serving and not in a bad way. I mean, it's not personal, it's business, so to speak, right? You know what I mean? It's like, well, yes, I could go on Dave Mcrae's show with Nick, but you know what? I'm just launching my own show and I want to get Nick on my show, how it's going to, it's going to benefit me and what I'm trying to build here, right? Because, and again, being the head of Convention All-Stars, he has access to so many people. So I'm not saying that is the reason why I haven't heard from him, but I suspect that may have played into it. And maybe at a later date, he'll get in touch with me and be like, yeah, let's do it now. But maybe he just didn't want to do it now because he wanted to have Nick come on his show. Instead. I suspect that maybe that's the reason. But Sean, if you're watching or if anybody knows Sean personally, love to have Sean on, even if it's without Nick Castle. Nick doesn't have to come on. I just thought that would be a nice sort of kind of complimentary piece because there's a lot of things that Sean has told me. And I think it's out there too. I don't think this is sort of secretive on how he played a pivotal role on getting Nick Castle in the cameo in Halloween 18. So that was really cool. And I wanted to get him on the show and sort of, talk about that and get Nick on and whatnot. And I thought that would be a lot of fun. So, but like I said, it's not urgent. They're busy guys and they can come on whenever they want to come on. But if you're watching or if anybody knows I'm watching, Nick, Sean, would love to have you on, and I think it would be great. But I suspect that's probably why, because Sean was, unbeknownst to me, he was right in the middle of beginning to launch his own show. So, and that's understandable. I get that, totally get that. And there's other people that I've reached out to. I did reach out to Mark Patton. But I never heard back. So Mark told me to reach out to him, which I did. I reached out to Mark via Instagram, and he told me to send him a message on his email because that's where he facilitates that stuff. So I did, and that was about 2 or 3 months ago, and I never heard back. I'm not somebody that's going to. I will reach out again if it's somebody that I really want. But if somebody's not interested to get back, like if somebody's not interested enough to get in touch with me and say they're not interested, then I have no interest. I don't play that game. If I reach out to somebody and they reach out to me saying, hey man, cool idea, but I'm not interested, that's cool. But if somebody doesn't want to reach out to me at all, then, no sweat off my sack, as the saying goes. I'm not in the business of begging, and, if you're not interested, then I'm not interested. That's just the way it goes. But anybody who's interested or who thinks it's cool, who wants to come on to take time out of their busy schedule to sit and talk about, their career or their life or, whatever the case is, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. It's not personal. I don't have anything personal, but if I reach out and if I don't hear back, well, then I don't hear back. They're not interested. I'm not going to beg and plead, for Christ's sakes. mean, come on, I have more self-respect than that. Karen Pritchard says, I love House of a Thousand Corpses and Devil's Rejects, but Lords of Salem, wow, total crap. Rob Zombie, man. Goomba Johnny says, I have dreamt of Myers chasing me. Amazing. That's how you know you're like real into it. But I always manage to stay just out of reach because he doesn't run. Oh, that's funny. That's funny. That's funny. Did I miss any last super chats? I don't think I did. Okay, we'll just go a couple more minutes here because I was talking long there for that one thing. Let me see. Alexander Dirksen says, have you already cast Billy or will you play him in shadows and voice in the OG? We never saw him, so it could work. I will not play Billy. And I will say casting, I plead the fifth. I will just keep that quiet at the moment. But no, I'm not going to be Billy in the movie. Whether I will be Billy, his voice on the phone is up in the air at the moment. The Film Addict sends in a $4.99 super chat. Thank you, buddy. Says off topic, but do you have a favorite Brendan Fraser movie? Sucks what happened with him. I don't. I've never really been a big Brendan Fraser fan. I think it's Brendan Fraser. Is it Brandon or Brendan Fraser? Let me just see here. You might be right. Maybe it is Brandon Fraser. Maybe it is. No, it's Brendan Fraser. I was right. Yeah, that's why I hesitated when you asked that. It's Brendan Fraser. I've never really been a big fan of his. I never got into the Mummy movies. That one he did with Pauly Shore there, Encino Man, the one he did with Elizabeth Hurley as well. I've never really been in... I'm not a fan. Like, it's not like I hate the guy or anything like that. But I've never really been a fan of his. He's just kind of, I don't know. I don't really care. Listen, folks, that's going to do it for me for episode, I was going to say 90. That's 90 minutes. I started streaming. Episode 84 of Mcrae Live. Folks, I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in. Thank you to all your super chats. Thanks to my moderators, of course, Frank Riker, Tabitha Short, Darren Sands, and Jason Nike doing what you guys do. I really appreciate it. You guys are amazing. I will be back, of course, Thursday morning on Mcrae Live, 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Don't forget, the It's Me Billy campaign is live. The link is in the description. Anything you guys can contribute, we really, really appreciate it. Spread the word, get it out there. Maybe you have family members, maybe you have friends that would be interested in something like this. There's still 4.5 weeks to go. So yes, thank you to everything that like I said, all the questions, all the super chats. You guys are awesome. Sincerely, I really mean that. And so in the meantime and in between time, I will talk to you guys soon. Alrighty, cheers.